And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about the Washington Commanders and what they plan to do at the NFL Combine. We're also going to be looking at the update around NFL free agency and definitely something that could really impact what the Washington Commanders are going to do in free agency on the defensive side of the ball. So let's start with the NFL Combine. And so today, Adam Peters, he got a chance to talk with the media. We talked about this yesterday with Dan Quinn talking to the media, and it looks like that they are pretty much, just kind of echoing one another, talking about just bringing in high character type of players that are going to continue to help lay down the foundation for this team. We've talked about this a little bit yesterday that, they got a much better grade as far as the NFLPA report card is concerned, moving from 32 to 11. And so that's good to see. But it comes down to character. It comes down to really putting out a standard that the Washington Commanders want to continue to go off of. And then also to culture. That's another thing that, Coach Dan Quinn talked about. And you can definitely get that from Adam Peters today, just talking about just how they go about their business on a day-to-day basis. And so expect for the Washington Commanders to go out and really draft accordingly. And so that is something that they want to do. And he also talked about Marshawn Lattimore, which is a player I did talk about yesterday. And he just talked about, look, they are in a great place with Marshawn Lattimore, and they're looking forward to seeing him get back, obviously, to full health and competing with this team next season. And so with that being said, you see here at the top of this article, this is on Rigo's Rag, but it says that the throws a curveball at the NFL draft. And so that curveball is that the Washington Commanders have scheduled an interview with Ashton Jeanty. And so Ashton Jeanty, if you don't know, he finished second in the Heisman Award, rankings or whatnot. So he finished second for the award. And he is, I think, the best running back in the draft. I think he certainly would be the first running back off of the board. And I think that this is interesting because the Washington Commanders are set to pick 29th. And you would think that he is going to be off the board before then. But it makes me wonder just how aggressive Adam Peters might be, especially if they come away from this interview really liking Ashton Jeanty. How would they get up to get him? And I think that that would be really a huge get for the Washington Commanders, because I think that maybe they're looking at this situation, and if they are looking to trade up, perhaps they're looking at what Saquon Barkley was able to do just this last season with the Philadelphia Eagles and his ability to be a home run hitter. I think that that is definitely what you see with Ashton Jeanty. I think that he can be a home run hitter. And when you look at his production, I mean, man, he went from 156 carries in 2022 all the way up to 374 touches in 2024, over 2,000 yards. He ran for a 7 yard average there. So he went from 5.3 up to 7 yards, the average, 29 touchdowns. I mean, he was literally a home run getter in the open field. And so you can imagine that if the Washington Commanders were to get him, how much that is going to really impact the running game. And we know Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler played very well. They both got injured, and then it definitely slowed down the running game a bit towards the end. But you bring in a dynamic player like this with Jaden Daniels, I can certainly see that, that is certainly going to improve the offense. And so I think that that is the curveball that we certainly want to see. Is Ashton Jeanty a possibility for the Washington Commanders? And so next up, I wanted to talk about the free agency here. And so this definitely, I think, impacts maybe the direction the Washington Commanders want to go in. And this centers around Oso Odighizuwa. And so he is the defensive tackle there for the Dallas Cowboys, currently a free agent. So, the speculation is maybe he would go to the Washington Commanders because Coach Dan Quinn obviously coached him there. And so there's a link. But according to Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, he is saying that the Cowboys are really trying to get a deal done. They're not necessarily close. They're trying to find a common ground. And so it looks like that they are definitely interested in bringing back Odigizua. And so with that being said, he does also talk about this, or there was another report, excuse me, that talks about DeMarcus Lawrence and the possibility of him actually coming back to the Cowboys in 2025. And so those were two players that I was thinking maybe the Washington Commanders would target. And so, if they're off the board, I think it becomes interesting now because it looks like clearly the Washington Commanders are going to be going in a different direction on defense. They've already granted Jonathan Allen the permission to go seek a trade. And so they're going to have a void there. How they're going to fill it now, that's going to be interesting, especially when you have maybe one of your targets at defensive tackle who is probably going to be off the board. And then also, too, with DeMarcus Lawrence, another defender that can certainly help you that you're familiar with. And so now, I'm thinking from a big name standpoint, we've talked about this with Myles Garrett, and obviously the Washington Commanders have the, salary cap room to absorb a contract like that. How they would get it done via trade, that's going to be interesting. I think certainly a lot of draft capital is going to be needed, but it just makes me think that maybe the Commanders are best served maybe addressing the defense, I think, in the draft. And I wanted to talk about one of these draft prospects that we've talked about, and actually two draft prospects that we talked about, but they really had some good days here at the NFL Combine. And I wanted to start with James Pierce Jr. So he was one of the players that we had talked about on the show, and he was in one of the mock trades out of Tennessee. And so he's a talented linebacker here from Tennessee. And man, he had a very good day today. In fact, I think he ran a 4.47 out there. And then when you look at his just lateral drills and everything else, man, he looks super fluid, super fast out there. And man, he looks like he could be a very good player off of the edge. One of the things that I talked about in just looking at him and looking at his tape was the speed. So I think that is something that really jumps off the tape, and his motor, the balance. I think you see a little bit of that in the drills as well. And I think that that's something that he showed when he was playing, for Tennessee. And so also too, look, he's great at getting off blocks and things like that. And so maybe this is somebody the Washington Commanders would certainly target. I think another player that had a very good day was Jahad Campbell. I think he looked very good. I think that you get a chance to see just how fast he was. He ran a very good 40. And look, he looks like a prototypical linebacker. And so I think that both of those players would certainly be, I think, an upgrade for the Washington Commanders, and certainly I think would give them some immediate help here. And maybe that is the best direction to go in, because then, you still have a ton of salary cap room. You get a bit more younger on defense as well. I know you don't necessarily have the immediate experience, but if these players are able to come in and make some things happen early, I think that definitely, kind of keeps you into this championship window a little bit longer. So anyway, let me know what you're thinking in the comments. Are the Washington Commanders about to shock the NFL and maybe go after the best running back in the draft, perhaps? And do you think that they should go after, Pierce Jr., James Pierce Jr.? Do you feel like maybe they should go after Jahad Campbell? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say, go Commanders, and I will see you on the next one. All right, peace.